Last game of the day. forZe and Gambit going to be duking it out on Overpass to kick things off. Gambit youngsters on the T side and forZe already taking control over short B. Gambit youngsters going to be speeding it up a little bit though. Flashes and smokes designated towards the B side, pushing on Monster when none of the CTs are currently occupying, but with two of them still on short, those side swipe frags could be coming in very soon. Nafani with the first is going to be able to at least lock down some more angles of aggression, but now face crack round the backside. Catches a completely unaware Supra before Exile finally puts him out of the equation, leaving Jerry and Flit left standing. USPs in hand by their sides. Going to be trying to come back in again, but now it's down to Flit. Had a great best of three, last one up, but it's not going to be happening this time. Gambit youngsters take first blood.
The bang Vince, just a quick round, and it does go to Gambit youngsters. And both these teams, I did not expect them to be here, Vince. I thought, based on kind of recent results and forZe's history as a team, particularly late 2019 period, would have already made it through. The fact that they're down to the last game of stage 3 to determine who's going to move on and who's going to go out of the tournament is pretty wild to me, especially because we've seen good play from both of these teams at different points in time. Now, Overpass is usually Gambit youngsters' specialty. It's their best map. It's one of the worst for forZe historically. Yet forZe did pull off the upset on Overpass over Gambit youngsters on the first day of the tournament. So what happens here? Like, does Gambit get back on track like they usually do on Overpass? Or does forZe, despite the fact they're a weak Overpass team, pull off the upset again? That's what we're going to be looking to find out here as Gambit youngsters swarm the B-bomb site here on what is a anti-eco type situation. There has been a force up though from forZe, and it's done some damage, but Gambit still have force standing with the bomb being planted.
On Flit and Z Power, don't think we're going to see any potential retake coming in. Just looking for some exit frags at best. Post-plant, Gambit youngsters going to be taking the 2-0, keeping 2 MAC-10s and 2 assault rifles. Going to trade one of those MAC-10s now to the Galil. So making sure that they take every bit of money they possibly can, every bit of value they can out of the round. And as you said, forZe coming into this, not an ideal map for them. I'm actually going to go ahead and say that I think Gambit youngsters might win this match. That's I've been with them.
No, I really have. I mean, Exile comes into this event as the #1 player in the tournament. He is at a plus 58 KD differential. He has just been absolutely lights out throughout this tournament. Just leading in almost every single category. I mean, he's leading in damage per round, kills per round, KD differential, rating. The dude has just been an absolute stud, particularly also doing really, really well in like success in opening duels and things of that nature as well. Shiro right there next to him, also topping the charts in opening kills per round and success in opening duels. So they do pack a huge punch between Shiro and Exile in particular. And strategically speaking, they play some good Counter-Strike as far as the methodical nature of their play. So yeah, I agree. I think Gambit youngsters have a great chance to pull off a win here on Overpass.
I'd even go a step further. I think they might take this best of 3.
Okay.
Obviously, early days, and again, it's been an inconsistent tournament for a lot of players, a lot of teams. But I just feel as if Gambit youngsters, again, I think Pimp kind of alluded to this. There's maybe some pressure off their shoulders. Most people expecting forZe to win this.
Yeah.
And that could start to play into some of the mind games that come in. Here comes the aggression through long. It's just going to be Flit this weight thing. I say just Flit, but he has the deagle, and he's put it into a kill on Shiro. That's a huge pick, but not going to be able to take the weapon, at least, from the corpse.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing. Shiro and Exile are battling up against Z-Power and Flit, who were also ranked amongst the top 10 in the tournament when it comes to rating, Flit being #4. They also have some very impressive stats across the board when it comes to damage and kills per rounds and everything that goes with that. So it is kind of those 4 players, I think, on the server that we're going to be focusing on most to deliver here, as we do see CTs trying to get aggressive on this eco. They haven't been able to get 1 kill on Shiro, and Exile down very low on HP, but B is still going to be taken. But Almazer is in position, and actually all CTs are in position, Vince. This could get interesting. Maybe, just maybe.
And especially if Almazer's scout can find ahead quickly on the approach. Inter's good Molotov, though, going to keep him at bay. Does land the tag, but not the headshot. So Inter's able to walk through with 10 HP, and now the flank from Exile should be more than capable of putting this round to rest. Flit also on shorts. I just heard that his teammate died behind him in connector. Jerry, very little he can really hope to accomplish. He's just probably going to throw himself into the mix and see if he can get a kill for his troubles, but no reason to save this USP. When there's going to be a buy coming up shortly. Click across, not happening for him. Gambit Youngsters 3-0 start, as I think some would have probably expected on Overpass.
Yeah, but now the guns are out and flying, and again, Z-Power and Flit. We were already talking about how they're, some of the top players in rating. It's also worth noting that both players are still #1 and #2 respectively in deaths per round, so they have not been giving up a lot of frags to their opponents. And they are also a couple of players who are leading in clutches won, Vince. So again, you're just seeing some of the best of the tournament, and that's why it's so crazy we're seeing them in an elimination match like this in the lower bracket of Stage 3. And that's why this should be a banger of a match, and this is a banger of a start to the first rifle round, as enters with big entries here on that aggression from forZe at the party area. Immediate 5-on-3 for Gambit Youngsters, and they're just charging up long A, wasting no time getting that bomb in position.
Super has been given the task just to watch middle to make sure a flank doesn't come in. And our mollies and smokes finding their way over onto the A site. They still have Axile they can pivot from on B site, so they don't have to fully commit to this with connector control not being there for forZe. So they can switch this one up. They're deciding not to for the time being. Going to keep it locked in on the A side, just making sure connector's not going to get pushed. With Almeza thinking about it, molly to the back of the truck. Jerry going to be forced back. Now the rotation comes through, but Almeza's here. He's got the M4. The double spray wasn't quite on point. If he'd landed that, the bomb would have been stalled for so long. The remaining forZe players could have got up close, but instead, that loss in short water is going to be a loss to the round additionally.
Yep.
And Nafani, by the way, could very well take this extra M4 away if he decides to push up towards the A side.
Sure. Could be pinching in, as well as Axile is also pushing forward, so there definitely is a chance. Nafani throwing the AWP away, making sure that's not going to be saved by face crack no matter what happens here, so that's a good thought. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, and I kind of mentioned this yesterday as well, Vince, and maybe you can kind of point to it yourself from what you've seen. Gambit Youngsters is a team that's prided upon being very young. Obviously, it's in their name of the team. But also just being very mechanically gifted, particularly Shiro and Axile. But I feel like the one thing that gets overlooked a little bit is actually how disciplined they are as a team. Like, even in a 5-on-3 there, they made sure that they had a buddy system when they push in the short B. They make sure that their spacing's correct. They use their utility very effectively to isolate players or, take certain angles out of the equation when they have to start pressing into the bomb site. They definitely have good tactics. Like, they are one of the better strategical teams I've seen in this tournament. Like, when I think of some of the other teams, like a forZe or like an Amiga or Hellraisers, or when we were watching Crazy earlier on in the tournament, they were a lot more reliant upon just being very scrappy, very aggressive, just being like, in your face Counter-Strike, just trying to be overwhelming against their opponent. Whereas I feel like Gambit Youngsters, while they can do some of those types of plays, particularly with Axile's rifle and Shiro's AWP, they also just are able to settle down and like play proper default Counter-Strike and play the map control. And it's really been fun to watch them be able to kind of grasp that at such a young age with little experience.
Yeah, I think it's a point that Pimp raised, that every time we seem to see these guys, there's improvements. They always seem to be going in the right direction. They always seem to be plugging some of those problems. And I would definitely agree. I think this is a team with a lot of promise to them. I'm going to be very interested to see how these players and how this team does going forward.
Yep.
I think every opportunity now to start to turn heads as this year continues towards 2021. A flash over from Shiro into Long. There was some aggression up middle from both Z-Power and FaceCrack, but they think better of that decision and they back off to the bathrooms.
Yep. As Axile would be playing outside B solo. Again, he is a peripheral role player, but he's very aggressive. He can do a lot of playmaking, can create a lot of pressure by himself. And when they do go for the B splits, he can be one of those trade fraggers you have to worry about. So very versatile rifler, can have a lot of impact despite the fact that he plays positions that might traditionally look like lurk roles or something like that. Meanwhile, Shiro and company looking to just establish a little bit of control over here towards bathrooms and long A. They haven't been able to really press too deeply, though. I think Inters has been able to get into party position, but that's really about it. The bomb is actually swinging back over towards B. They're about to make a push into short B from connector. And so a B split is going to commence here.
Good smoke from Almazer. Basically a one-way, can see from the barrels. It's also going to extinguish a molly that fires its way towards him, as you can hear there in the background. He does get tagged slightly from it, but he's okay. He can move forward as well. 20 seconds, though. And Gambit youngsters, they're now starting to make a move towards A. There's only one player here. It's going to be Z-Power with the Deagle. For 10 seconds to go, all it takes is for 1 or 2 headshots to come out, and that could be the round that falls with it. But Z-Power going to go down without too much of a fight, and the rest of the CTs follow suit. It was very close at the end, but it was calculated by Gambit youngsters.
Yeah, that was the very well-designed double fake there. I mean, they left one lurk basically in bathrooms, and then they put that pressure on B, and then they just doubled right back. And that's basically what you kind of gain from being able to control connector the whole way through the round, as well as CT's playing passive on A, you know, having, I think it was Enters that had bathrooms control, is that you had that flexibility to float back and forth without really running too much risk of being flanked or being caught up. I mean, obviously there is that situation like you were referring to where the clock was getting a little bit low when they did make that final commitment to A, and that could have spelled a lot of trouble if they did lose a player or something went wrong, but they used their utility well. Again, their spacing was very good. Great entry work on the A side itself when they fully committed to it. And again, just showing you that diversity that they have tactically.
No doubt at all. A lot of confidence in their ability. Z-Power just in the middle of nowhere, and that flash destroys him. Never had a chance. He's 005, by the way, as is Jerry. This is a horrific start.
Dude, his screen was wider than a paper plate in the middle of a blizzard. Just, there was no way he was seeing anything.
I do wonder if that's just Gambit youngsters realizing that he has this reputation about being such an aggressive AWPer, that that's always a possibility. Obviously, it's a pretty standard position to push middle with the AWP if you have a good spawn in balloons or, you know, on the staircase. But they've also got a second to add to the opening pick, and forZe off the back of a full buy, only 5 kills as we are in round 6. This is a little bit miserable.
Yeah, definitely a much different look than last time they met on Overpass just a couple of days ago, where I feel like that was like kind of the fluke. You know, Gambit youngsters, again, usually a very, very strong Overpass team. I would say for forZe, this has got to be like bare bottom of their map pool because they don't really play Vertigo. So other than that, if they play, this is their worst. And Gambit youngsters has been taking it to them all game long so far. Trading very effectively here into this A bomb site once again. Face crack left alone just to try to save the M4. And Gambit are just swimming through this, man. And I really would love to see them go through. I mean, I try to be impartial as a caster, but I've just been so impressed by how they've played. I really do think that Shiro and Axal are future superstars in the region. Not to say that forZe aren't good. Again, they had a lot of strong showings at the end of last year. They definitely were rising up the rankings, and guys like Flit and Z-Power in particular have always impressed me. Almazer's impressed me. Jerry, as an in-game leader, has done a pretty decent job creating an effective, aggressive style for this team to play. But, you know, just you got to tip your hat to Gambit youngsters and what they've been building up this year. Just, you know, topping Mountain Dew League, doing well on some of these different online cups and qualifiers. It'd be cool to see them shake things up a little bit in the region.
Yeah, I do also wonder for the side of forZe that, you know, we discussed before that going back a year or so, they were turning a lot of heads and making people believe that they were the next big thing from sort of Russia. They haven't changed roster for quite some time either. So you're thinking, well, have they reached their peak? Like, it's fairly rare that you see a team kind of have a meteoric rise twice with the same team, right? So, like, is this as good as it gets?
It's a tough one to call. Again, we talked about this earlier, where there's a lot of talent in the CIS region, but they're all spread out amongst Gambit youngsters, forZe, Spirit, you know, several other teams you could throw in that mix. You know, you got like that Dexter guy that a lot of people are talking about, the AWP as well. There's a lot of talent out there in the region, but they're all kind of spread out on different teams, and it just feels like it might take some type of shakeup to get some of that talent maybe confined onto one team and build, I don't want to call it a super team, but build like just a really, really stacked roster that actually could rise up the ranks together, because I definitely think there's enough talent in the region to have like another 1 or 2 teams in the top 10 from this CIS region. With the right leadership, the right combination of players, you know, I think they've got the talent for sure. Don't forget the talent you still have sitting out on Virtus Pro. I mean, I know the team's kind of fallen apart overall, but you know, Kickert and Jame are still out there and very strong players, and Buster's a free agent right now, so a lot you could do.
Yeah, I mean, Buster's one of those players that was being linked to so many different teams. Yep. To see him not with a roster is kind of mind-blowing to me. Flip with the 5-7. We'll get the drop onto Suprov. 25 seconds, not for the first time. Gambit youngsters taking their sweet time to push onto a site. It's going to be B. Molotov's proceeding to push, but they're walking into a stack, and this time the stack's going to include some rifles. It's looking like the win streak may be coming to an abrupt end, barring some huge entries, and Almazer's going to hold on with the Deagle. This is a lot of weapons going to be trading hands, and it may just be the one kill the Gambit youngsters get in return, because Inters is nowhere close, nowhere to be seen. So forZe, plenty of rifles picked up, and a 6-1 score.
Yep, forZe finally on the board, did so very clean as well. Only losing one player, picking up some weapons, including an AK for Flit that'll get passed over. Now pass back over to Face Crack. Op as well picked up for Z-Power. So that is certainly great news if you're forZe, because this is starting to get into dire straits when it comes to economy and just rounds on the board. But now they've finally struck gold. Gambit youngsters will take the time out immediately to try to, you know, stop the momentum right in its tracks and get back right on pace, as they have been playing an excellent T-side through and through. I mean, when you look at the 6 rounds in a row that they won, they survived with 3 or more members for 5 of those 6 rounds. Or actually, all 6 of the rounds that they won, they survived with 3 or more members. And several rounds, they survived with 4 members. So they're stacked on cash.
Was the opportunity for a change of pace, a turn of pace, but good Molotov placements into Short Pipe and Monster going to stall the push a little bit. Oh, that damage, though. Through the wooden panels, Inter's down to 4. Instantly on the back foot are Gambit youngsters. This time, though, they're going to take early connector control just to make sure that the CTs can't go for the quick wraparounds. Good grenade onto Nafani as well. 36 HP. The opening jewels have been spot on this time for the CTs.
Yeah, B seems to be the intended target again for Gambit. Gambit is a team that does love their B splits. If they're not playing default, the B plays, I think it's because they like to get Axile engaged more. Since he defaults B, if you're running the B split, it's where you can get his aim more involved and actually taking a site rather than having come late over to A. So it definitely kind of makes sense to their player strengths to do this type of style. The problem is they might be running into a brick wall, Vince. There's 5 players basically already here. Up close crossfires also in place, but the flashbang is effective, and there's the man himself, Vince, with 2 big entries.
Yeah, that flash was huge. That was really the MVP of that play. Axile spray certainly was nothing too shabby either. And now Gambit youngsters trying to pounce on that weakness. It is momentary, though, because now the gaps have been filled by Z-Power, Jerry, and Flit. And Jerry is watching, eagle-eyed into the smoke. He sees a player around the corner, nearly sprays into 2. Shiro and Inter's both worse for wear, and there's the up shot from Z-Power. forZe 2 rounds back-to-back.
Yeah, it was looking good at first for Gambit. They broke through Monster, Axile with the big entries, but just a great response from 4, particularly the op, silencing Axile after his first 2 kills. And just, again, they already had such a good rotation in place before the hit even ever started. There's always going to be some incredible brute force that was going to break open the B site, and unfortunately, they were just a little bit short on it. So forZe to the second round. 2 in a row for them now. Money, though, is still so high for Gambit youngsters. Able to full buy here, though. If they take a loss at this point, they have to make some tough decisions next round.
Yeah, both the rounds that forZe have picked up been on the B side. Don't know if that will factor into Gambit youngsters' mindset going forward. And they will try to occupy over on A. Z-Power watching into the playground. Flash out. Nice. Does get punished. I thought he was about to flick across, but that is a huge pick for Gambit youngsters.
Again, that's just that team play, man. I know it's something simple as a pop flash, but for a young, inexperienced team, they have been playing together for a very long time. In fact, they're one of the longer standing rosters in that came from this first stage. I mean, there's like a lot of brand new teams like Crazy and Hellraisers, and Simon even had a lot of roster changes, and it was like forZe and this team were some of the teams that had a little bit more linked to them. So you do see Almays are getting aggressive here in short A. Does pick off Axile, so it equals things back up. Though there is a lot of A control that is starting to be taken here by Gambit youngsters. Flip playing up close here. Might be trouble.
30 seconds left. Supra, big entry, and flicks to the head of Jerry. Those entries, explosive, electric, and forZe shocked into submission. Inter's in for another one. Bomb will be getting planted. Big play from Almays, though, forcing them to relocate and plant safe. It does buy him up a bit more time to close the gap. One flash, no kit. There should be some kits down on the site, though. They had a good buy coming into it. Afani changing his angles. Almays charging onto the site. He knows the likelihood is that both players will be around bank and dumpster respectively. And they're positioning themselves into a spot where Almays is going to have to go for that spray. He's now given them information. He's no longer on the site and he's going to back away. It's a nice try, but a good round. Gambit youngsters 7-2 lead.
Again, just good team play. Catching the aggressive opping of Z-Power out at long A without him getting a kill. Also catching Flit up close with a dry peek at that. There wasn't even a flash involved in that exchange. Flit just kind of missing a little bit there. He's actually had a tough start to the game, 3-7. Same with Z-Power, so some of the normal stars for forZe are not really shining yet, which I think is more of a effect of just the fact that the whole team is kind of falling apart so far. I mean, it's kind of hard to shine as one of the talents of your team when everything is just falling apart. So many dominant rounds from Gambit youngsters thus far this game. Right back to winning ways after dropping a couple. Ooh.
Gap in the smoke. And now a gap in the defense. forZe lose Z-Power. His woes continue. Good spray in that smoke, and Exile caught the knee of face crack protruding round the corner. Flip with one. Gonna move himself up to second top on his team. Actually, third top, pardon me. He's got 2 assists alongside those 4 kills. Boosts up his points a little bit. And he's joined by Almays, who again has gone walkies, again has gone aggressively. Does find the kill. Changing up positions. Exile sends him reeling out, and now they're pondering as to whether they should push on B or maybe double back. Pushing B would be the correct decision because Flip is making moves, and now they're going to be walking into him. These are the kind of positions Flip can win from. Switching up the weapons. Now they realize, okay, no problems. It's a 2v1. We still have control of this round. Let's go B.
There's a small window, though, for Flit. He has the AK. He's got a kit. He's got head armor. He's rotated pretty quickly into connector. The thing is, he has to open that door. And the moment that he does, they know where he is, and they'll be able to work together to deal with him. But, oh, he's actually jumped up here, and he might be able to get a cheeky little peek through this window. It's going to be close, but it doesn't look like anyone's shown him anything. And if they don't soon enough, he may just have to save. And yeah, there he goes. It was a good thought. It could have got him a free kill and then into a 1v1 that he actually could try to commit towards, but without that, he will just go and save the AWP. Or will he? They're going to chase. No, not going to happen. Axile puts it right in his forehead.
14 kills, 1 assist, 133 ADR, and just to add a little bit of a cherry on top, he's the top effective flashbangs at 10. So he's fragging, he's supporting his teammates, he's just the all-around good guy for Gambit youngsters.
I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again. You can clip me and hold me to it. That kid is going to be the next electronic.
Yeah, I thought at the time it was a bold statement. The more I watch him, honestly, I'm very impressed.
I don't know how long it will take, but he's definitely on that trajectory. It very much reminds me when I was watching Electronic play for Flipside back in like 2016 or 2017 time period. I think we casted them together when they won Leipzig in 2017 for DreamHack Open in January. The way I'm watching Exile now reminds me of Electronic then. So give him a year or two, and I think he'll be right around the same type of caliber player.
Because to my understanding, he's under 20 years old. Is that correct?
Yes. I think he's 18 or 19.
Oh, there you go. Very bright future ahead of him. Supra tagged down to 40 up against a rough buy on the CT side of things. 2 MP9s, M4, CZ, Deagle, half buy, of course. 2 players on A. Gonna be FaceCrack and Jerry, who are playing together. FaceCrack more of an anti-flash position. He can quickly rip out with a wide swing with the SMG and try and spray down onto the oncoming T's. And that Scourge is going to be here momentarily. He's looking to try and subdue, to clobber the oncoming aggressors. It's going to be 1 kill, but you can put up a second from Jerry's MP9 and flip with a perfect rotational plays. It's all fell apart. Gambit youngsters not going to get this round. May not even keep Shiro alive. Down he goes. I think he tried to throw the AWP away, and indeed he was successful. Well done.
Yeah. At least having the small thought, realizing that all hope was lost and not allowing him to have a freebie when it comes to snipers. He's actually had kind of a quiet game so far, 5 and 5. He hasn't really been required, though, and Axile's just been popping off the way that he has, and the rest of the team's also done their job as well. Big round win for forZe before this spirals out of control, but it's already such a big T-side from Gambit youngsters here. They really only need, like, 1 more round to feel pretty secure. You have to imagine anything else would be bonus. They certainly will have the money about them in this round to keep it going. And oh, the timing of this from Inters. At least Z-Power recovers it a little bit there to trade back, but that could have been brutal.
Yeah, it could have been a whole lot worse. Supra now going into bathrooms. There are CTs around him, one of which is Z-Power that's just tried to overextend with the AWP. I think he realized that his days were numbered. If he stayed in that spot, he'd eventually get checked. So he tried the aggression, as he so often does, but it doesn't work out.
No, not at all. Bomb was left behind, though, so this gives a lot of time for CTs to start rotating to A before the bomb can get into place. But Supra and Nafani doing a pretty good job holding down the fort and allowing that bomb to transition. So it seems like Gambit youngsters are on the brink of around number 9, and the economy of forZe is very low. There is a small hope, maybe, that FaceCrack pulls something magical.
Shiro now having a look. Supra up on the swing. 2v1, Almeza 37 HP on the wrong side of the smoke from his perspective. Nafani and Supra going to replenish the smoke onto Dumpster, and Almeza decides that saving is the best course of action. 9th round.
Absolutely. Getting the hell out of there. Because the thing is, him saving an AK and the money that the other players had, they actually still could rummage a buy together next round. And their loss bonus is still quite high. Issue is they won't have an op for Z-Power. It's the really... Well, maybe there's enough money for someone to drop an op. I'm not 100% sure. Yes, okay, they could do.
Yep, Almeza saving allows him.
All coming out of salt.
It's at that kind of position, though, Dust, where it's like, okay, cool, you got an AWP for Z-Power, that's nice, but you're 9-3 behind on your CT side of Overpass. Against a team that's very comfortable on this map.
I mean, I don't mean to insult the guy, but because usually he's spot on, but he has not really had much impact on a map that normally CT offers can reign supreme.
No, I don't think it's insulting at all. It is just a factor, you know? You've got to be honest about it. He's not had the impact. I mean, in the last best of 3, they lost it. He was always over 20 kills. He was always pretty much the most impactful player on the server. And yet here we go, and he's just having a bit of a dud. Like,
I will say this, I think Gambit, I feel like in Gambit's game plan have been specific counters to stop him from being effective. Like some of the flashes they've used, some of the ways they've mollied him out of position, and oh my, is Super going to do it to him? No, Z-Power does trade it back at least. Still, though, this affords so much free A control to Gambit youngsters because there was so much focus on connector.
They have the right idea. They are rotating, but they want to make sure they don't overdo it, overcook it. Gambit youngsters down on long A, have Nafani watching the back from middle. Z-Power That's the kind of impact we're looking for. Player coming up on his right-hand side. He heard him burning. He heard him struggling. And puts him out of his misery. Nafani and Axile now have it all to do. Molly up and over onto the truck. Going to try and force away the CTs. It is successful. Jerry's out in the open now. They are going to line up. And there's a bump down. And that spray transfer from Almeza is slick. forZe get a fourth.
Man, really good job by Z-Power there. Was able to get the trading connector, roll back around for 2 big kills over towards the APC. So finally having a big round. That's the biggest round he's had all half long, and it's come at just the right time, because if they were to lose that round, their economy would have been absolutely just straight wrecked. And then I think Gambit probably have like an 11-4 half. Now, it's the other way around. Gambit youngsters have to take a full-on Glock save, a chance for forZe to get a free 5th round, and then have a chance at making this a 9-6 half, which, all things considered, would be a pretty great recovery, as they were 6-0 down.
Well, they'd certainly be happy with 6 rounds from this position. No doubt about that at all. But
here's the thing, though. If you're Gambit, you're content with 9. I mean, sure, you want more. You always do. But 9 is a great place to work from on this map.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just, at this point, it's trying to somewhat stave off the wound if you're forZe. You're just trying to do your best to pinch and try and, you know, basically get through it. Get 6 rounds, give yourself a chance in that second pistol if you win it. Gambit youngsters, though, with Glocks. Chances in this round, pretty much 0, I'd say, Dust.
Sure, we'll go with 0. I think that's a fair number. We've only seen like 1 Glock eco actually work this entire tournament. On Inferno, I think it was, a B-Rush or something like that. This is a much different story. Oh yeah, Flitz licking his chops on that. Thank you for the stats, kind sirs. As he will deliver the 4K and get himself up to a neutral KD of 10 and 10.
So Mac 10 on Inters, AKs. Not exactly the dream if you're Gambit, honestly. I thought their buy would be a little bit better than this. So 2 SMGs.
Yeah, so either they need the close distance fast up connector to bathrooms with those Mac 10s, or they needed to rush B. Like, it's got to be one of those 2 things to get the most out of the Mac 10s. And it seems like B...
They're getting up close. They're getting the Mac 10s in that range, but the flashbangs are really solid from the CTs. It's keeping them at bay. Jerry now with the enforced sprays in and looking for more from his position. Could be more in a matter of moments. Shiro up on the barrels. It's a bit late. It's a bit messy, but he still gets the kill. But they have to be very cognizant of Flit's positioning now. Shows his hand, does get a frag for his troubles. And Axile is going to go for the flank on the flanker. The hunter has indeed become the hunted. Face crack and Z-Power with an AUG and an AWP to their name up against the very low Nafani and Axile, but Nafani still flicks in for a headshot, and now Z-Power does have the right angle, the right idea, but doesn't want to give his position away just yet. There we go. Kill comes down, and now Axile, the player, the MVP of this map so far, is the last to fall. And it's going to be close, but he should have it. Well played, Z-Power.
Yeah, he really came on strong at the end. He had such a quiet start to the game. I think at one point he was like 3 and 7 or something along those lines, and has a couple of really big rounds. The 3K at the A site comes to mind, and then that clutch just there, the 1v2. Brilliant work by him to get forZe somewhat back on track. They're not completely in a dangerous position for Gambit yet, but like you said, if they can get pistol, get a good early start here, they could be right back into tying ways and make the game interesting all of a sudden. But Gambit, again, 9 T rounds is pretty damn good. Pistols being exchanged here over at Monster. Z-Power getting a couple of big headshots with the P250. We'll see if Gambit can try to recover that back. They are a man down right now, and Nafani is very low on HP, and the bomb has not committed to B. It's actually started to draw back a little bit here, and all the CTs have already bit down on this being a B-side attack. So things begin to get interesting. Glock spotting one, CT crossing over right side. Flit will pounce on that, but he's punished for it. Supra coming up big with Nafani. Now it's all on Z Power, 1v2. And oh my goodness, Gambit somehow reeled that one back in. I'm not quite sure how, but they did. That's what matters most, and now they have 10. And Vince, I'm hoping that you're back. Your mic was kind of dead there for a second. That's why I took over, by the way. Still can't hear you, Vince. Apparently Vince's power went out, folks, so I'll be kind of just solo casting a little bit here until he can get back online. So apologies for kind of the awkward pauses. I was trying to cover for him, and so we'll get him back as soon as we can. So it'll be just iDust bringing you this full-on eco. So there's really not a whole lot to say about it, really. It's going to be pretty much mop-up, you'd have to imagine, here for Gambit. Big goal is just to farm as much cash as you can with the SMGs and don't lose anybody. We want all the money you can get out of this situation. Well, one FAMAS has been taken down, but the MP9 of Nafani will come into play. It'll farm a little bit of dollar bills, and the FAMAS will be recycled back into new hands. So it will be Gambit coming up 11-6. Gonna try to go for the bonus round now, as it is going to be AKs and an AWP for 4, so they will have the firepower advantage. They are limited on utility, though, so that'll kind of make their tactical options a little bit more limited as far as how they fight for map control and how they actually go for the final set piece. But you see FaceCrack wasting no time at all, trying to barge his way through Monster, and he does indeed pick off enters towards the barrel's position. Big entry to find early on here. Gambit still do have a very stout B defense in place. However, their A side is very vulnerable, and you do see forZe making that quick transition with the bomb. There is a CT in connector area that might be able to detect this, or if just enough passage of time happens, eventually Gambit will, I imagine, rotate 1 or 2 players back to A. It's all going to come down to timing, though, whether or not they get there soon enough. This utility coming out from forZe, I'm sure, is going to start coaxing them. And it may also be a situation where the way that their money is, they might just gamble and say, look, we're either going to be at the right place at the right time if they come B, and if not, we're going to just have to take a save. That is one other option. The other option is just to play for the retake. There is some utility that they could put to use. They do have a kit on the Fanny, so it's not as if retaking is completely out of the question, but I think it's really just going to come down to whether or not they can find a quick kill. Just seems like they're so out of place to go for it, though. And indeed, it is going to be just that situation where everyone has to just kind of sit back and hold on to these weapons. And these are not the weapons you want to hold on to either. It's a bonus round that, you know, keep the FAMASs rolling forward. They have to keep them rolling forward again is kind of a bitter taste in your mouth. Speaking of bitter, I think we have bitter, grumpy old Vince back. Who's bitter about that power outage? Salty. Still can't hear you, Vince. The lights are on, but no one's home, Vince. I know you're trying. I can see your little green light on. I know you're trying to pop off with the microphone, but I don't hear you.
Hello?
There you go.
All right. Yeah, absolute nightmare scenes. Power just completely went off, of course. I'm back now, though. Thank you for filling in their dust. Did I miss much?
I'm sorry, the chat who had to witness my play-by-play for a few rounds, but we got Vince back, so now he can deliver you the sweet, sweet melodies of his vocal cords. That was a weird way of saying it, but yeah. Let's go on.
You've built it up so much, it's only going to be a disappointment now, but I'll take it. Shiro, with the opening pick boosted up and FaceCrack is being laid to rest on short, so forZe, by the looks of things, have had a bit of a rough second half so far. Did win the last round, though.
Yeah.
Was there anything out of the ordinary, Dust? Or was it pretty standard stuff?
You know, little this, little that. Pistol round was pretty wild. I will say that. It was kind of a back and forth slugfest situation, but I'll tell you what, Shiro said, all right, Axel, I know you had a big first half. Let me flex my muscles a little bit now. Let me get out there.
That's always the dangerous aspect of Gambit youngsters as well. Something we discussed before is they have a lot of heavy hitters on that team. So Shiro, who was a bit quiet in the first half, wasn't really needed. If he starts shining and Axel continues the pace, it's very difficult to see how forZe get back into this. Jerry and Flit, two-man squad left with the bomb. Do have 2 AKs and a decent helping of grenades, but time itself is starting to work against them. Molly now put down, there's the flashbang, perfect flashbang. Jerry was wrecked off that, and Gambit youngsters take a 5-round lead.
Yeah, it's looking like they're racing towards the finish line at this point, at least for this map, right? It is only the first map of the best of 3, so still some time for forZe to recover in the second half, though it's probably going to have to be this round, Vince, because it's just the way the money is. They need this AK buyout to work out. If not, I mean, okay, Gambit would be 13-7. You have to save and probably give Gambit 14, and then you have to put all your eggs in the basket of you fighting Gambit for Map1 in the next round. So I really feel like this is kind of a do or die moment for forZe, and that's why they're taking that time out to take the extra time to figure it out. I mean, they are a team that, again, have had their struggles on Overpass over the months. Definitely can have a very scrappy, chaotic, explodey style of play, but if they can't get their footing, then it's very hard to make that work. So we'll have to see what they've come up with in the timeout as we do kick off round number 20.
Through the molly and the flames, they'll go. He did catch a glimpse of a head just peeking over the smoke, which is Axel. Goes back in again, not waiting even for the flashbang, and does get 2. Face crack back, but that's a beautiful passage of play on Gambit youngsters.
Yeah, gets the first kill. 2 different flashes came through to assist him. Almost found a third as well. Got Almazer down very low on HP. And they've taken short B control in the midst of all this too, Vince. So they're getting so much information on top of having the 4-on-3 situation. This is looking so good for Gambit. Supra having a very solid corner to play. He can't quite spot the short pipe cross, so Monster is still somewhat exposed, though there is coverage from sandbags to watch them cross into the site. And if they try to go short, Supra's got the jump on him big time, and there it is.
Such a nasty angle to watch out for. It's only really countered by flashes or pushing connector, and
exactly
that team didn't really have either, and that's the bomb down as well.
Yeah. The desperation of the second guy to do like the little hop peek. I mean, you can just tell that forZe are cracked. Like the wall is shattering. It is the Gambit youngster sledgehammer just going through.
Well, that's it, isn't it? forZe cracked. Gambit youngsters jacked with the sledgehammer in their hands, just absolutely pounding away. Also,
I mean, I don't know if you've seen Hero and Exile, but I don't even know if they could pick up a sledgehammer.
It's all right. They can pick up a mouse dust. That's all they need.
That's it. That's
their weapon of choice.
Seems to be the figurative sledgehammer of laying down the law in virtual space. And they've definitely been doing that on Overpass here thus far. Tech9 buy up here from forZe. Those can be dangerous. Z-Power with the pop flash.
Oh, Exile still holding firm. 4 kills in the blink of an eye. And just like that, forZe again.
Peace.
Taken out. Gambit youngsters continue to just be powerhouses.
Yep. And there's a 2-word expression that sums this up the best, and that's see ya.
Yeah, pretty much see ya on Inferno. And honestly, it could just be see ya there as well if this continues. Gambit, there's definitely no slouches or scrubs when it comes to Inferno either.
Yeah. Definitely forZe is one of their top maps, though. Probably one of their top 2 maps. So I think they would definitely have a much better time on it than what we've seen here. Gambit have had their struggles at times on Inferno, to be fair as well. Though, like you said, there are definitely no slouches on it. So it will be interesting to see how that plays out. And we certainly will at least be guaranteed that. But not until we finish off Overpass first.
Exile pushing round the back, and Shiro taking AWP shots could actually, I was going to say, focus the attention elsewhere and allow Exile to move into position, but the two of them have now been dropped. The two main heavy hitters are silenced, as will be Nafani. That opens up A. Gambit Youngsters' economy is good, but you don't feasibly want to throw away two AK-47s on the CT side unless you absolutely have to, and they don't have to. They've got a buffer of rounds, so a save is going to be forthcoming, you'd imagine, and an 8th round on forZe.
So there you go, finally fitting in around here on the T side. It's only their second one of the half. They had won the third after a 3-round winning streak from Gambit. They're right back to winning ways here on forZe, but they still have a very tall mountain left to climb. But it was huge to get around on the board and save it from going to map point, for one, and for two, to do so clean. Their economy is very low, so saving 4 weapons is massive for the long term.
Supra and Inters will hold on. An uneventful post-plant, but an understandably uneventful post-plant. forZe, 8 rounds, going to be able to add to the AKs and the AWP. Meanwhile, Gambit Youngsters, no problem replenishing their buy, and in doing so, they're going to be able to buy again in the next round. It might be a bit rough on a couple of players, but you have Inters and Supra up at the 8,000 mark across the two of them.
Right.
And now they're going to be going back in. I'm curious if we do see some aggression, though, because Nafani's headed towards Connector.
Does seem like that is in the cards. They're throwing some flashes over to certainly at least get fountain control. And they have Nafani pushing in the connector. Not all the way, but, you know, just getting a little presence. It does leave B wide open, though. And so they need to be very quickly either pushing through connector to get here to help them out or something. Something's got to give. Here's one interesting thing, though, Vince. The bomb, it's in T-spawn. So there could be some weird stuff happening in this round.
The classic T-spawn bomb routine. Almeza allowing the first player to cross. I believe he heard Supra as well, which is why he didn't pull a trigger instantly. He wanted to see if that second player came into range. Inter's using that smoke, but now he realizes, hold on a second, there's a player behind me. As he gets put down, at least Nafani is there to pick up the pieces. 3v3, moving towards the site. Incendiary to the back left of the bomb. And Jerry is now the last man on Monster's side. His teammate joins him on short. That's going to be Almeza. There is a gap in the smoke, and it's there by design as Nafani gets one in a second. The bomb goes down. It's a 4K and 7 map points alongside it.
Now, that was a very awkward round where people were walking by each other, not seeing each other. You know, flanks coming in through fountain position, bomb being left behind in T-spawn. One man stranded alone at B, and you think he's in a lot of trouble, but he actually finds a kill and buys some time for his teammates to rotate, and they capitalize. I mean, that was really a round that had it all. As much drama as a soap opera. But here we come to what could be the final round here of Overpass. Not the ideal buy for forZe. Derry stuck on just a deagle, utility low as well. Oh, God.
Make it stop, Dust. Please.
He's so good. He's just so good at the video game.
22-14. Shiro, another player to watch out for as he explodes on long with the AWP Z-Power on the receiving end.
Jesus Christ, he just got destroyed. Sit down, Z-Power. You basically just got to see both talents of Gambit Youngsters simultaneously just pop off with ludicrous shots, which may be leading to the ending of this map, to be honest with you. It's going to take a huge push from forZe to reel this one back in.
Yeah, because they lack manpower, they may try and do this one dry as well. If you start throwing a ton of grenades, you're expecting a rotation up through connector, and they can't really afford that luxury. It may not be coming up, but it's understandable to me why they are going in here slowly. I'm going to try and get a wide swing of some description onto one of the CT defenders. The downside of this play, though, is if they don't get the first entry, the round is pretty much done, and with it, the map will follow. Incendiary onto the site. That no-scope from Shiro. He goes back in for seconds. A flashbang was put perfectly in position. And now Jerry, 1 versus 4 with the AWP, is going to get 2. He's actually going to keep this one alive, but time is also against him. The clock And Supra plus Inters equals a map victory for Gambit youngsters. We expected it to be probably going in their direction, but maybe not that one-sided.
Yeah, that was pretty damn dominant, only allowing 2 rounds on the T side in that second half. They had, of course, the hot 6-0 start. They won both pistols.